Do you want to make your own podcast? Spotify has a platform that lets you make one super easily, then distribute it everywhere and even earn money all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters. And this is the platform that I use because it makes it so simple to record and distribute your podcast all in one place using your cell phone. What you need to do is download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started. Hello, my name is Catherine Moore, social worker, mom, coffee lover, and founder of Social Workers Rise, where we inspire social workers to connect, expand their knowledge, and change more lives than they ever thought possible. I'm so excited you found my podcast. We will talk everything social work on every level from micro to macro. We will hear the stories of social workers who are doing big things, learn new skills, and most importantly, give you actionable steps to make a difference today. Let's go. Hello. So I am here with Miss Jacqueline. Is it Rudy or Ruddy?
It's Ruddy, like
Ruddy.
Who's your buddy? It's Jacque Ruddy.
I love that. That's awesome. So thank you so much for sitting down and talking with me. Let's see. Well, our backstory is we're coworkers.
Yes.
Right now, newly coworkers, because I just started here. I'm kind of wondering, you have a really unique story. So I'm wondering kind of maybe how did you get into social work and what do you do now, like on the side?
Well, I got into social work just by chance. I knew from an early age I wanted to be a therapist. I wanted to help people. That was my calling. I was 15. I knew it was what I was supposed to do. But like for a lot of us, life had some twists and turns and some major challenges, and I was told that I wasn't smart enough to be a therapist. So I believe that. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really what propels me now. A lot of self-discovery, a lot of resilience, a lot of overcoming challenges. And finally, at age 46, deciding that as a single mom of two kids, one who was still in diapers, that it was time for me to take charge of my life. And I decided to go to college. And I had to start from the ground. Mm-hmm. So I started with my AA degree and was diagnosed with breast cancer a month in to my first semester. Stayed in school, found that breast cancer was one of the best things that ever happened to me because it was the first time that I realized that I had real grit, that all of the challenges early on really developed a resilience in me. And so I then transferred for a bachelor's degree in psychology. And 2 days before my senior year began, I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer again. I would be lying if I said it wasn't a little bit upsetting, mm-hmm. But I'd already had the experience of staying in school through cancer, through chemotherapy, through a lot of challenges. That's my favorite word, I think. And I finished my bachelor's, and then I went on, and my path was directed partially because of the cancer experiences that left me vulnerable and open to listening and for guidance, and also I attracted people that really had some support and belief in me, and decided to pursue a master's in social work so that I could achieve my goal of becoming a therapist and also have the balance of being in an environment that helps me to help people in many ways beyond therapy. So meeting people where they are, mm-hmm. Sometimes in their home. And so, yeah, that's kind of where all that started. Going back, though, I have my own business. It's Wholeself Wellness and Coaching. And the way that started, it's been evolving. As I was diagnosed with cancer the first time and being a single parent in school, I had a lot of nonprofit organizations support me. Some of it was financial, some of it was emotional, the list goes on. But I also started finding a voice to speak to people. First, it was about breast cancer, taking the fear out of it. And then as that evolved, I began speaking to people. The focus was talking about trauma, starting with breast cancer, and then it became talking about resilience, and it just evolved. And through that, I started talking about reducing anxiety. Like, everything has just kind of come organically. So I'm now working with people that I'm helping with breathing techniques. I'm helping with I'm coaching them through nutrition, but not as a nutritionist. I'm not certified in that, but mindful eating. Okay. And so I'm kind of throwing a lot of different things out, but that's kind of how it's all, like, everything was happening at once, and now I'm coming back and now I'm honing it in. How can I really take all of these services and help individuals where they are to, some of them are broken people wanting to be repaired, could be mental, emotional, physical, trauma. Some of them are well people, so to speak, wanting to get weller, to continue their growth. So it's a lot of fun. It's beautiful, and I feel like I'm helping me all over again, because that's my story.
Yeah.
So
do you specifically focus on people who have breast cancer, or is it everybody?
It's a few of my clients have breast cancer or in some stage of that, but actually no, it's become more generalized. It's mostly women that are drawn to me and what I offer. I have a few men that I coach, but primarily women. Primarily, I would say, if I were looking at a demographic, primarily women between, age 35 to 55 would probably be the largest group. But I have a lot of people just refer somebody to me because they've heard of me, they know me, or they've worked with me, or they know my story. So, which is.
And you make it sound so simple, but I know that I'm assuming that this has been a very long journey, and that your acceptance of this has taken a lot of work.
It has. I feel like I'm an expert in so many different areas because I had to learn it for myself. From going to figuring out how to get an education, what that means, what you need to do. And I know that sounds like I'm going away from this holistic health, but it's not. That's part of what I had to figure it out. For me, not being successful was not an option. So when we were becoming homeless, when I was diagnosed with cancer, and this was not that long ago, I made a decision. I would live in my car with my 2 sons before I would stop going to school, because I knew that decision would feed the future for us. And my boys, we actually talked about it. It's not that we didn't have friends, but when you're a family of 3, you don't just stay at somebody's house. It's a bigger deal than that. So I talked with them, and I said, do you trust me? And I remember them saying, we do, Mom. And I said, we're going to eat, we're going to have everything. And it worked out that we didn't actually have to sleep in our car. Let me just say that.
Okay, that's good.
But I was then, and am committed now to whatever it is that we're doing. It's 100%. And now, what I have found, because of my resilience and my determination, are lots of tools, lots of resources. So I've been gathering all of these resources all of these years, whether it's an organization or a way to feel. So my offerings to my clients are as much sitting one-on-one breathing, for example, as they are saying, here's an organization that has suits so you can go interview for a job. So I'm a social worker.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
And that's the beauty of it. So
as you were talking about your kids and having that conversation with them, I got emotional. I get emotional all the time, so it's nothing new. But I'm just like, gosh, because I have a daughter. I couldn't imagine being in that situation, having to have that conversation, like the strength that you have taken to make those hard choices.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember I had somebody say, "Oh my gosh, how are your sons? Like, you've gone through breast cancer twice. You've had all these moves. You've had the on and on and on. How are they?" And I was commenting that they're really good young men. They're smart. They're polite. People like them, which to me is a good testament to who they are. And one day I asked my son, who actually on Monday he's going to be 17 on the 17th, his golden.
Nice.
In any event, I asked him, I said, "Honey," I said, "we've been through a lot. You've been through a lot. How is it that, I don't know, you don't freak out?" And he said, "Mom, you don't freak out about these things, and so it makes it easy for me to not freak out." And that's really it. I look at the situation and I'm not just responding emotionally. Not to say that I'm not emotional, but I step back. I practice what I preach. I breathe. I consider. I seek wise counsel. I've found mentors in my life. I'm a mentor. The reason I know it's important for me to mentor people is because I have mentors. So again, it's that full package. We can all do anything, but if we look at any, football player or basketball or dancer, they know how to do what they do. They know it really, really well. And yet they have coaches and mentors and they practice it daily. And a lot of them have mindfulness coaches. This is, so I would be silly to look at these professionals that, if you want to count success by the dollars that they make, are making millions and millions of dollars, or the life satisfaction. If I think, oh, but I can do it differently, I don't know, that's a disconnect. So again, finding mentors, seeking wise counsel, stepping back, owning my stuff. This is what I'm now saying is a lot of mindfulness, non-judgment, accepting what is as this is what it is. It's not good or bad. I get to put the value on it. Is it good or bad? And that's really helped me to go through from somebody who lived in a foster home. I'm a former foster youth that went to UCI for my bachelor's degree, USC for my master's degree, and I had no income.
Wow.
So I was able to find over $235,000 in scholarships, grants, and awards. That also helped me to cover my rent and living expenses. I mean, it's
that's amazing. Yeah,
I'm an expert on that too,
right?
And
I'm sure a lot of people really benefit from your expertise in all of these different areas.
Right.
And I can definitely see how a lot of people would relate to you and your story. So, as far as your, you mentoring other people, what does that look like? Like, if I felt like you would be able to help me, what does that process look like?
Well, the first thing I'd want to do is sit down one-on-one or, video chat so that we actually are seeing each other, because I think that's important. That tells both of us a lot about each other. I want to find out, what is it that you want, not just the actual, like, I want to be a, or I want to get a, fill in the blank, but how does that make you feel? What is the feeling you're trying to capture that goes with that? So it's just there's some questions and probing to make sure that you understand what it is you want, so that I can help you. I can't, so that I can give you the tools, empower you, support you. And then I have a program that I use, that I've developed. But and basically it's, we're going to check in, we're going to meet, we're going to have specific tools to use. We're also going to prepare for not achieving what we planned and processing that, because we don't always get what we want. But then it doesn't mean we quit, right? But it's reframing it. And also a lot of what I find is, and myself included until this last journey that I've been on, we say we want one thing, but what we're doing is taking us away from the goal. And that's not good or bad. Again, no judgment. So, but then when you have somebody on the outside identifying that, then the question is, do I really want what I think I want? So I need to change the behaviors to match that, or do I need to change the goal because the behaviors are really what I want? Does that make sense? I don't know if that...
Can you give an example?
I want to master my finances. Okay. So I want to, be a good steward. I want to pay off this debt, this particular credit card. This is something I think anybody could relate to.
Yes.
And yet, and then I sit down and I write this budget, and I'm only going to spend this on this, and I'm really and the budget works. It makes sense, and it doesn't leave me, based on the paper, it doesn't leave me feeling deprived. But every Friday, I'm getting massages, and I'm just trying to pick something that's not in the plan.
Okay.
Now, if massages are written in your plan, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you say, I'm going to skip massages for 2 months, or I'm going to, whatever it is, I'm not going to go to the racetrack.
Or get my nails done.
Right. So if that, and you know what, I'm going to use the nails as an example, because that's a good one. If I've written it in that's part of my plan, that's part of my plan. It's one of my expenses. There's no shame, or it's not good or bad, right? But if I say I'm going to forego that, and yet I'm weekly getting my nails done, then one of two things. Change the goal so that now is in the plan, and then you just adjust the budget, or you ask yourself, why do I continue doing that when I don't really want to? And then that's what we next work on, is why are we doing, what is that word? It's incongruent behavior. There's another word for it.
Right.
I can't think of it.
Where your feelings don't really match up your actions.
So then that's the next thing to explore. If you really, really want this, and and again, that's like the definition of an alcoholic is one who drinks against his will, right? There's more to it than that, but that's, I don't want to drink, but I'm drinking. I don't want to get my nails done, but I'm sitting in the salon. So there's something else going on.
It's like me and cookies.
Yes.
Every night, it's like I have my routine. I go home, I have this healthy dinner. I've been healthy all day, but those cookies, I just I'm addicted to it.
Right. And each day you say you're not going to do that.
Yes.
But see what you just said. You just identified it. You have a routine. First of all, I would say the cookies are there. Who's buying them? Because if you don't buy them, and you can say they're for the kids, I get that. I'm a mom. But if it's you shopping, then you're in control of that. So don't buy them. And I've had to deal with that too, because I have some sugar addictions. That's another story. But so that's the first thing. The second thing is that's your routine. So what can you change in the routine? You go home, you have dinner, you get comfy, you brush your teeth right after you eat, because cookies after brushing your teeth aren't so fun. Or you put on your whitening strips. Or
I've been trying to drink tea.
Okay, I was just saying, that's exactly where I was going. You get your cup of tea, chai, something that has a little zest to it, rather than just, a chamomile, which I love chamomile, but that's, it doesn't maybe hit that satisfaction for the sweet tooth. Or you go for a walk first. You do something healthy, so then coming back to eat cookies, your brain's going to go, no. So, but that's how we work with it. You look at what's behind that, because there's always something behind it. And this isn't, while therapy is my approach, this isn't therapy where we dig up the childhood and everything that's happened. Not to say that's not important, but to change behaviors, to modify behaviors, and to find satisfaction doesn't always have to go back to the beginning, the first abuse, neglect, trauma, what have you. There are different approaches, and that's, I think, therapy's great, and obviously I believe it. That's what I set out to do in life, and I still am doing that. But there's other methods too. I just posted on my business Facebook page today an article about how traumas stay inside us and affect our bodies, and I'm not going to articulate it very well, because I can't remember the name of the article, but basically how we absorb trauma into our body, and that can show up later with obesity, diabetes, cancer, anxiety, PTSD, right? So, and this article, some of the research is done by Harvard, and some by the Trauma Center, TRE, not ER. Anyway, it's peer reviewed, and I'm all about science. I don't like the hokey pokey stuff. I like the combination, right? You can tell I'm aging myself. But in any event, what I loved about it is it talks about therapy, and it talks about meditation and physical activity, and specifically identifies yoga.
Interesting.
Which, and I didn't mention, but I'm getting certified as a yoga teacher, but I'm also being certified as a yoga for cancer recovery, and with that is trauma. So even though I'm focused on cancer, it's trauma. So anyway, I like that big picture. Like one-on-one, I could tell you yoga's great, breathing's great, and we can do that, but one-on-one isn't going to change the world. What I'm seeing is bigger picture, principal people that have the respect and big picture respect and credibility are saying mindfulness, meditation, yoga, breathing techniques. Like it's so amazing and beautiful that it's all coming together.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what can we, so we're busy, right? We're social workers, we're busy, we don't have time for a lot of stuff. Are there things that we can do that don't take a lot of time that have big impact?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Let's look at us and what we do, because we are busy. We have patients, we have their emotions that we carry. We don't have to bring them home, but they're there. So a couple things that I do personally is either before a patient, because I like to prepare before, I sit in my car for a moment. I put my hands on my lap with my palms down, which is a grounding technique. So I get grounded, and I will, if I'm, often I'm running late, I will just know that I only have the time to do 2 breaths. So I get grounded, I close my eyes, and I breathe in and out through my nose. When you're breathing in and out through your nose, it's going to trigger your parasympathetic system, which is relaxation, connection with your body. Not going to make you tired because your brain knows what you need. So if you're doing that for focus and clarity, your brain's going to get that. And I do what's called, everyone says, oh, it's Jackie's 7-4-9. So I breathe in for a count of 7. I hold for a count of 4. And I exhale for a count of 9. And what that does is, and even right now my brain knows my 7-4-9. Did you notice how my voice slowed down? My brain knows. It's like the Pavlov's dog. It already knows, oh, this is when she gets quiet. She gets connected. And so automatically I put my palms down. My body's responding.
Oh, interesting.
I'm training myself.
Right.
I just realized this part a couple days ago, by the way. I was teaching in a class and this came up. So anyway, taking that, it doesn't have to be, people avoid meditation because they think they can't go om for 20 minutes. That is and can be meditation, but meditation can be literally sitting for just a few minutes, breathing.
Can we do this?
I'd love to. So let me, I'm going to expand on that just for a moment for people, because obviously they're listening.
Right.
So I talked about only in and out through the nose, because that's really what's engaging. It's a smaller area where the air is going in. So when you're mouth breathing, it's completely different than nostril breathing. That said, if you're stuffed up or have to mouth breathe for whatever reason, then you do what you need to do. So it's not like all or nothing and that's it.
Okay.
The next is this breathing technique. It's diaphragmatic breathing.
What does that mean?
It's when you're breathing, belly breathing. So as you're inhaling in and out through your nose, if you notice your shoulders are raised, you're breathing in your chest. That's thoracic breathing. That's what we need when we're going to go run a race, or we need a lot of energy. That's good. Again, no judgment, but to connect with your body and to relax, you want diaphragmatic. So, and I use this example for women specifically. We always want to have our tummies in. This is the time when you're breathing in, think of your tummy as a balloon and you're blowing up a balloon. You want it to expand as you're inhaling, shoulders down, belly's expanding, right? And then as you release the air, it's going to contract. Does diaphragmatic breathing. And again, my brain's doing that, slowing down. And I do the 7-4-9 because this breathing, it helps with stress, anxiety, depression. It also helps with sleep disorders, sleeplessness, having a hard time falling asleep, waking up, having a hard time going back to sleep. It helps with clarity. And as I was saying, the beauty about this is your brain knows what to do with the oxygen. So if you're getting ready to run off somewhere, it's not going to put you to sleep because your brain knows what you need to do. And the brain is so amazing. So we're going to do 2 breaths just to get this going. And the last thing I'm going to say on that before we breathe is when you're having sleeplessness, when you're counting in your brain, 1, 2, you're doing that. It's that counting sheep idea. So all the noise, the distractions in your brain, the chatter, you're focusing on numbers, you're counting. So it's also a distraction ploy for your brain. Love this stuff. Okay, so now we're going to do it. So palms down for grounding. If you're needing to just be open and receive whatever is out there, palms up. I like to ground. And we're going to sit up, make sure our shoulders are down, and then we're going to breathe, and I'm going to start us. So we're breathing in, holding, and out. And in. Holding, and out. Can feel the little vibration going on in the brain. And you always want to exhale out more than you're inhaling. And this is the releasing the carbon monoxide. It's a chemical reaction in your brain. So you're going to release some really good endorphins, the feel-good ones, and the neurotransmitters. I can keep going on because I love this stuff. But somebody who has a lesser lung capacity, a lot of my patients have COPD and other
I have asthma.
Okay, right. So sorry about that. So I guess I could have told you then you adjust.
Okay.
So you might do a 5, hold for 2 or 3, and then a 7 out. Just whatever in, a little bit more out. Okay. So
that's great.
What do you think?
I like it. So I felt after 2 breaths, just instantly more relaxed and more focused. And so I feel like it'd be really helpful maybe after a stressful patient or a stressful visit, or even because when I'm driving home, a lot of times, thoughts are reeling in my mind from the day, and what do I have to do? Like, okay, I gotta go do this and get the groceries and make the dinner and make sure the baby's fed, and then I can't forget to do this tomorrow, and my boss, I love my boss. but
there's a lot of chatter going on,
exactly.
And all those things are legitimate.
Yeah.
You do need to A, B, C, and D, but if you can stop and get connected, even before you drive out, or you can breathe with your eyes open, doing the diaphragmatic while you're driving. You can do that, and I've done that too. Ideally, if you can pull over for a minute, or like I said, before you get going, but it just helps you reconnect and get focused, because what you're doing tomorrow, using that example, is tomorrow. You don't need to. I ask myself this, and even through the things that we talked about that I've had to kind of deal with along my journey, is there something I can do about this issue? Like I have a lot of people that, quote unquote, I had a bad mammo. Can you talk to me? Okay. So they're worried that they have breast cancer, right? That's the big fear. So, okay, you had a mammogram. My first comment is, great, you have a doctor who's really on top of things, because I want to reassure them. And I genuinely mean it, but I also specifically say it to reassure them. What are you doing next? Oh, and they tell me they've got the appointment, or they need to set the appointment. So in that case, is there anything more that you can do? I've already set the appointment. The answer is no. Or I need to set the appointment. Okay, so then once you do what you need to do, your brain is going to relax and go, there's nothing more to do. Anything beyond that is just worry, because until you have the scan results. But I'll go through, is there anything more you can do on that? So it's either A, I have breast cancer, or B, I don't. And if you want to go see, it's something else like a cyst or, whatever. So if we can break it down to, can I do something more? And if there is, do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if there isn't, sit in that and just accept that until you get the next information. So
I would imagine that'd be very freeing in a way for people to say, okay, there's nothing I can do until next week.
Right.
When I get the results. So you're right, just labeling that everything that you're thinking about right now is just anxiety.
Exactly. And then let's address that, because for a lot of people that is how they go through life. That's a lot of burden.
Right.
Constantly finding the next thing to be anxious and stressed and worried about. And I'm not sure how much longer we have, but one last thought on that with regard to that realm is I had a young lady who had again, bad mammo. That's a word I hear a lot, or phrase, and she couldn't let go. Oh, I have this appointment set up, great, and blah, but she was just like anxious. And I said, okay, dear, here's what we're going to do. We were on the phone. I said, I'm the doctor calling you. You have breast cancer. Now what? What are you going to do with that information? And we actually walked through her getting the news that she had it. Now, just so you know, it ended up not being breast cancer. Okay. Great news. But she needed to process through. Well, then what comes next? Well, usually there's this an MRI, and so we talked through, how are you going to handle that? Who's going to go with you? And we walked all the way through. For some people, they don't need to do that, but for her, I knew she wasn't going to let go, and I wanted to put it in a box as much wherever it was for her, and it was helpful, and
right. And ultimately, it sounds like she's like, okay, well, I have the resources, I have the support network, I will be okay no matter what happens.
Thank you. That was it. That's
right.
That exactly where you want to go.
Yeah.
Because that's the next thing is, I don't know what to do. I'm not going to be able to handle this. So what is that? The fear of, I can't handle this. Yes, you can.
It's true.
Yes, you can. So.
Yeah, which I feel is helpful for us personally, but also for the patients and clients that we work with, because, gosh, I feel like, I don't know the statistics on how many Americans have anxiety, but I know it's extremely high, if not most people. But it is just all of that worry, even me, using the example of me driving home, worried. When I get home, and if I'm still in that anxious, worried space, I'm not being present for my family.
Exactly.
And that's the whole point of why I do all these things, is for my family.
Exactly. And I'll share a little secret. I have anxiety. Not all the time, but here's what's different about how I handle it now versus how I used to handle it. Before, I would just isolate, and I would just I couldn't get out of bed. I would be I didn't even understand it. Now, if I'm feeling it, because I feel like the elephant stepping on the chest, and so it's not even because a thing is happening. Sometimes it just hits, and I'm like, whoa. What I do now is go, breathe, don't make any decisions. It will pass. It will pass. And I know it's going to pass. And that's the fear, like people who have the fear of having an anxiety attack. It's the fear of the fear. Like, it's not going to pass. It's not going to pass. Now I just breathe and wait for it to pass. And I still keep doing what I'm going to do. I see the next patient that I'm seeing, or the next client, or I make the dinner for my kids, even if I'm feeling it, because I know it's temporary and it's going to pass. That's my gold.
Yes. Yes. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much, Jackie. Where can people find you to learn more about what you do and keep in contact?
Absolutely. Thanks for asking. So I have a couple. Let me spell my name. It's Jacque, and my last name is Rud, D as in dinner, D as in dinner, Y. Remember, Jacque Ruddy is your buddy. I am on Facebook. I have my website. All of my social media is the same. It's always my name. And if you want to learn more about me, if you just Google Jacque Ruddy or Jacqueline Ruddy, there are a lot of articles and stories that have been written about me over the last 8 years since my first bout with breast cancer. So That way people can see if I can get them. Because I do, I get it. I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks.
And it was a pleasure sitting down
Thanks
talking
for
with you
having
today.
me. This is my first podcast.
Oh, yay! We popped your podcast cherry.
Yes. I like that.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Social Workers Rise. If you loved it, write a review and give us 5 stars wherever you listen to your podcast. This just helps other people just like you find us and join our community. Also, I would love to connect with you on Instagram. You can find me at Social Workers Rise. I can't wait to see you next week. Bye.